All right. So are you ready to dive into the life and career of Kim Kardashian?
I think we all know her, right? From headlines, the glam, that whirlwind public image.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Beyond the surface, she's built this like billion-dollar empire, right?
Mm.
And she's stepped into roles I don't think anyone expected. So how'd she get here? Get ready, because this is way more than like just a reality show recap. This is a deep dive.
You're right. It's really a fascinating study on leveraging influence.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to kind of look at her early fame and dismiss it, but honestly, Kardashian's story, it really overlaps with these major cultural shifts, right?
Totally.
The rise of reality TV, obviously, social media just exploding onto the scene, even, the evolving world of criminal justice, which we'll get to.
Okay, so let's rewind. Back to the beginning.
Okay.
We're looking at her Wikipedia page today, mainly.
Okay.
And yes, we're acknowledging that 2007 event.
Right.
The one
Right.
that kind of thrust her into this spotlight.
Yeah.
However, today is less about, that tape and more about what she did with all that attention, right?
Exactly. That moment, it really became this springboard,
Yeah.
not the whole story. Like that same year, Keeping Up with the Kardashians premieres,
Yeah.
it kind of, let's face it, it redefined reality TV for like a whole generation.
It really did, yeah.
It ran for 14 years, spawned all these spin-offs. I mean, that's not just luck. That's a very carefully crafted empire.
And it's easy to forget, like, even back then, those early seasons, she was already thinking like a businesswoman.
Oh, absolutely.
Remember the Dash boutiques?
Yeah.
She had fragrances, workout DVDs. Like, she was out there testing, figuring out what worked, building a brand alongside the show.
And those early ventures, I think they're key.
Yeah.
They might seem kind of all over the place on the surface, but you see this pattern of her testing, understanding what resonates with her audience. This wasn't just about being famous. This was about how do I build a business from this fame, which, as we'll see, like she takes and refines that over and over.
Oh, totally. And she definitely was not afraid to, like, just put herself out there and try new things.
Right.
That whole Dancing with the Stars thing, short-lived as it was, it showed she was willing to kind of step outside the whole family brand.
Yeah.
Even those guest roles on, like How I Met Your Mother, CSI, NY,
Yeah.
it all adds to this picture of someone who is, like, exploring, different avenues.
That's such a crucial point because a lot of people, they would have just ridden that reality TV wave and been done.
Oh, for sure.
But even back then, you see her actively looking for ways to turn that visibility into something that lasts. And that is really the foundation for everything that comes next.
Yeah. It's like setting the stage almost. It's funny you say that about turning that visibility into something that lasts.
Yeah.
Because it's like the perfect bridge to like the next chapter of her career, right? We're talking late 2010s, the era of KKW Beauty, KKW Fragrance.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't just a celebrity slapping their name on a product. This was different.
Oh, absolutely. And you can't overstate how important what she did here was.
Yeah.
By 2017, the business world was already trying to figure out, like, okay, what is digital marketing? What is this influencer thing?
Right.
And then Kim Kardashian comes along, who is, let's be real, like one of the original influencers.
That's
and
better.
she just, like, nails.
Yeah. And it's $1 billion valuation we're talking for KKW Beauty just a few years later.
It's massive.
But the thing that I find so interesting is the how, right?
Right.
She understood this direct-to-consumer model. She's like, cut out the middleman, go straight to the people who, are following every move I make online anyway.
And it's important to remember, like, direct-to-consumer, that wasn't, like, a normal thing back then.
No, it was just starting.
It was emerging, but she got on that so early and in a way made it normal for, a generation of shoppers who now, like, expect that kind of connection, that access.
Totally. Yeah, they want to buy straight from the source.
Exactly.
Okay, so beauty, she's like dominated that world.
Right.
But then she launches Skims in 2019, and it's like empire building on another level.
Oh, yeah.
I have to admit, I remember when shapewear was this thing you, like, did not talk about.
Right.
And Skims made it, like, cool, inclusive.
Yes. And it was everywhere, suddenly.
Everywhere. And I think that's because she understood, again, an underserved market.
I
like,
100%.
shapewear existed, but Skims was like, we're going to talk about body positivity. We're going to have every size.
And again, that direct-to-consumer strategy, building that loyal customer base that went way beyond just, oh, I like Kim Kardashian, I'm going to buy this. By 2023, it's valued at over $4 billion.
Billion with a B, which is insane.
It's wild.
But it wasn't all, perfect.
Right.
This is where we get into, like, the kimono controversy.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting, this double-edged sword of, like, influence and, I don't know, missing the mark.
Right, because she wanted to trademark kimono, which, huge part of Japanese culture, for her shapewear line.
Which, yeah, not a good look.
Not a good look, and there was, like, immediate backlash.
Of course.
But what's really important here isn't the misstep itself, it's how she responded to it.
And she listened, which in the world of social media can be like the hardest thing to do.
It can be so hard to step back and be like, okay, I messed up.
Totally, yeah. And she rebranded to Skims. And honestly, I think the brand is probably even stronger for it.
I agree. It shows adaptability,
Yeah.
It shows that she understands that even with good intentions, you really have to be aware of, like, cultural sensitivity.
It's a lesson for everyone, honestly.
It's totally. And this extends beyond just this brand. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
But the thing is, even with that very public kind of stumble, she didn't stop, right?
No, not even a little bit.
The mobile game, Selfish, her book, even executive producing like Glam Masters, she was doing it all.
It's interesting to see her go from like beauty and fashion and tech, and then suddenly she's like, I'm going to get involved with criminal justice reform.
Right.
It's like, what?
And that's where I think a lot of people, their like image of her gets really challenged because it's easy to see a celebrity jumping on a cause and be like, oh, that's for attention or whatever.
Right.
But the work she did, especially with Alice Marie Johnson, was legit.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, Alice Marie Johnson was serving a life sentence
Right.
for like a first-time drug offense.
It's wild.
And Kim Kardashian used her platform, brought attention to the case. She's like talking to President Trump,
Yeah.
lobbying, and it actually worked.
It's incredible.
Johnson was released in 2018, and that wasn't just showing up for a photo op. She was in there
Oh, totally.
learning about policy, figuring out how to advocate. I mean, she went deep.
Yeah, and this wasn't just like tweeting a hashtag.
Right.
She worked with like Van Jones, Jared Kushner on the First Step Act, which for listeners who don't know, that was a huge bipartisan piece of legislation
Major.
aimed at like actually reforming the U.S. prison system.
Yeah, this is next level stuff.
This is her understanding how to work with lawmakers, how to get things done in like a totally different arena.
It's a whole other world.
Yeah.
And she jumped in head first, it seems like.
Totally. And then, as if that wasn't enough,
Right.
she decides to study law.
Yeah, that baby bar exam, not easy.
Notoriously difficult.
And she takes it, I think it was 4 times
4 times, yeah.
to pass. Talk about persistent.
I mean, that's the thing about her, right? It would have been so easy to just like chill.
Enjoy the billions.
Exactly. But she's constantly pushing,
Yeah.
like challenging herself.
Trying new things and
Yeah.
keeping everyone guessing. Because then we see her pop up in Paw Patrol movies with her kids
Adorable.
and then American Horror Story.
I know. What can't she do?
Right. It's like at this point, is there anything off limits?
And that seems to be the question, doesn't it?
It really does.
Kim Kardashian, I mean, you can call her a cultural icon, a businesswoman, an advocate.
It's all of it.
She's really challenged how we see celebrity, what success means, even what it means to have influence today.
It's wild.
Right.
So as we're wrapping up this deep dive, I'm curious, for you, like, what was the biggest takeaway from her story? What surprised you the most?
I think for me, it's the evolution. She never stays in one lane too long. And that constant drive, that reinvention, I think there's a lot to learn from that.
Oh,
No
absolutely.
matter how you feel about Kim Kardashian, that ability to adapt, to learn from mistakes, and just keep pushing those boundaries, that's huge.
Totally. I think that's a great place to leave it. It's makes you think.
It really does.
So there you have it, folks. The ever-evolving, always fascinating Kim Kardashian.